We're going to flatten out the straw, and then you want to go about a third, cut in 2 sections here, all the way along. And eventually we're going to make this part of the straw have 3 bits coming off it. We're going to be tying this up in a few knots, so just easier if it's flat. So in about 10 minutes you'll be able to take that straw and turn it into a really effective looking prawn that you'll be able to catch fish with. You kind of want to aim really at having these 3 sections the same width, and you just want to check how wide you've cut that first bit. Again, just sort of flatten that out, it just makes it a lot easier. And then this other section here will want to stick together, but just again flatten that up. Some straws are better than others. So just make sure that's pretty flat, and then you're going to cut pretty much this one into half, giving us 3 equal sizes. It's worth taking your time on this bit just to get this right, because it makes everything else a lot easier. Pretty much in the middle of this one. It is really worth persevering with this, because you can have a really effective lure. And there we go, we've got 3 sections there, pretty much equal, and we're going to have like a middle section and then 2 running ends almost that we're going to tie around that middle section there. So that's your middle section, and you're just going to take this one first and then this one next, an overhand knot underneath it and back round like this. And you can tighten down on that a bit just to make sure it's set in place. You do exactly the same on the other side. Underneath it, back round, over the top, through the hole, replicating what you did on the other side. Making sure there's not any twists in there. And that is really the basis for this whole little lure that we're making. Make sure those are the same. Again, you want to tighten it up. They're actually going to be the legs down there. The body of the prawn is going to be where the bendy bit is. Starting with the side you started with first, you're going to go straight up. Hold it with your thumb and forefinger and do another knot. So it's sort of pulled through, but from a different angle. And that is the basis of all the knots on here. You're just going to replicate that all the way along on both sides until you run out of that running end of the straw. So same again on the other side. Remember, you're going underneath, back over the top. Little knot. And then pull it down into that bottom bit, and then pull it down. You see there we're actually making the body of the prawn, and it will look like a prawn in a minute, I promise you. There we go, quite neat. Some straws are easier to work with than others, and then pretty much it's the same thing again. You're just going to keep doing that. Remember to bend the straw back up, pinch it, form a loop, go under that bit, back round. It's a little bit fiddly, but when you realise what you're actually doing here, it makes it a bit easier. Not the most finessed, and if I can do it, I'm sure you can do it. You could possibly do a better job as well. A lot of practice. There we go. Just make sure those leg bits are going to match up. And we turn it around again. And do it again the other side. There you go. Hold it. Thumb and forefinger. Wrap it underneath. Back around the hole. And in there. And of course the prawn is such a great bait, particularly for bass here in the UK. We're looking to produce those trigger points in this lure, which we'll come on to. Feel free to have a little experiment and look at actual prawns and see what they look like, and you can adjust it for that. But this is the main body now, and we're running out of those little legs of straw, but we've still got time to do this next one. Pull it tight. We're just about to get one more in, aren't we? There you go. I think we are pretty much there then for the body of the prawn. So these bits here are going to be the legs, and I just like to put a little bit of an angle, so you can put a pinch in there one way, pinch it the other way. They've just got to look like what a prawn looks like really to a fish, and same on the other side. All I do is just put a couple of bends in there, and when we cut those it makes a bit more sense. So prawn legs aren't very long, so we're not going to need two long legs. Get rid of those, and then I like to come in at a bit of an angle like that. Do that the same on both those sticky bits that come down. Bit of a pinch and a bit of a bend, and that's going to be meant to represent the legs of a prawn. And then just cut out 3 or 4, whatever you can get out of there. You want long sort of strands coming out. Again, well worth looking at a picture of a prawn if you want to be really particular about it. But now's your time to possibly do a better job than I would on here. The important thing I think is just to get a little knuckle and a bend in there. You see that? Sort of fan it out a little bit. Happy with that. I'll do the same on the other side as well. And then I sort of mess it up a little bit. They're quite robust, these. Starting to take shape, isn't it? And then you want to cut this about the same sort of length of the prawn itself. Cut this into about 4 different bits. Then you want the 2 sort of outside bits to be a similar sort of thinness, and all you're going to do is put a bend on this so they bend back. Just makes it look a little bit more realistic. You put some heat in the middle so it bent that too much. That's okay. If you do this, I'm going to show you a way you can still carry on making it. So it looks like this other one here. Just put the heat in the middle of that until it bends back a bit really. There you go. again, it's like a trigger point to the fish, isn't it? Used to seeing the prawn looking like that. And I'll come on to how we can correct that little mistake in a minute. So let's get rid of that for now. And then you can play around with that middle section as well. You can cut that in half. You can give it like a square edge, make it a different sort of size. Maybe cut it in half. Even in half again. Using these sort of sewing scissors, but I find like a slightly smaller scissor helps. There we go. We're going to have a look at that front end in a minute, but for now this is the tail section. So the tail is going to be everything past that bendy bit of the straw, and I cut down exactly down the middle like that on the underside. So this is underneath, and I'm going to cut down like a little section like that. Two, maybe three bits there. There's two. I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. And then again, sort of crimp them, push them, spread them apart. Just gives a more realistic look to the bottom of the prawn there. And then create yourself a prawn's tail. It's up to you how you want to do that bit. Prawn's tail. The other way you can do it is just take another section of straw and then make another section of tail, cut round, these are just little variations that you're welcome to have a go with, and then just slide that in there. If you make it quite long, it can stick in there. And this is what I was talking about earlier. If you do mess something up, you can always just recreate it from a strip of a straw and then push that inside the prawn. It tends to stick in there quite well actually. I'm sure you could use super glue or even tape it on, but that saved us starting the whole thing again, hasn't it? I just added something that we wanted. There's a few little additions you can do. I like to use the eyes, these sort of pins from sewing, and the easiest way is to actually push that into something. So hold the prawn, push that pin through it a little bit on a solid surface, and then that'll push through. Just sort of saves your fingers really. Make realistic eyes. I'm sure this will be a trigger point for the fish. It sort of comes alive, doesn't it, when that bit goes in. And then making sure you hold on to the bit that you're cutting off. Just some plier cutters or cutters of some sort. Snip that off and put that eye on both sides. And there you go, we made one in pink. Well, give it a go and let us know how you get on. What we'll do, we're going to do a second part of this video where we'll look at, adding a little bit of colour. It's your time to improvise, you can put stuff in there. Also put in rattles, because that's the main thing about a prawn's attraction. It does click, so you can put rattles in there, you can put bits of Christmas wrapping paper if you want. and you can weight them as well, and obviously your hook is going in there as well. But we'll do a part 2 where I'll show you the hooking, how to fish them, how to use them under a bombarder float or free line them weighted. But I think they're pretty good, and prawn is such an excellent bait. I think this will well be worth giving a go.